All right, welcome in everyone. Welcome in. We are playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles today. So it should be all kinds of fun because we are going to be heading for the final showdown, I think. So we're going to quickly get an intro and then we'll hop right in for the exciting conclusion, or what undoubtedly is the exciting conclusion. Here we go. Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today we are playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and in today's episode, we finally will get to hear the secrets that Dr. Sithe desperately wants buried. Or will we? Well, without further ado, let's hop in and find out. Alright. Here we go. Let's see. All right, the waxwork plot. It all began at the scene when I saw the waxwork and the note tucked inside its jacket. The actual body of the victim, as indicated in the note's instructions, was beneath the experimentation stage. The body had to be arranged in certain ways to implicate the defendant, which was my job. I enlisted the help of the entire forensic investigation team to dress the scene appropriately. The truth about the execution 10 years ago is a state secret of the highest level. I had to protect it. Or did you? I mean, questions. So I was right. The stage and the machine were all specially designed for the deception. So it seems, and all meticulously prepared. You did well to see through it. Did we? You're a very shrewd boy. So kind of you to say, indeed. And what about this autopsy report then? Yeah, I'm curious. All I did was record the location of the body as being in the crystal tower instead of under the stage. All you did? That's all? That's a terrible corruption. Only my team were aware of the deceit, and then only under my explicit instructions. Nobody else at Scotland Yard knew anything about it, I assure you. We must be thankful for small mercies, I suppose. Well, I believe the testimony has clarified everything. There's no particular need for a cross-examination, I would say. Excuse me? No, I disagree. I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. Exactly, and it's our right to cross-examine? Just look at that expression on Dr. Sithe's face. Yeah, that's like a, haha, I've tricked them now. It's the defense's right to cross-examine any witness following testimony. Tisk. What is about you Japanese that makes you all so doggedly persistent? I mean, we just want to follow the law, right? Like, what's so wrong with that? Very well, if you so desire, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, we will. Yes, my lord. All right, so here we go. The waxwork plot. Here we go. It all began at the scene when I saw the waxwork and the note tucked inside its jacket. Did it? Oops. Nope. We gotta go back through. Okay, we gotta go back through. I meant to press Q and I accidentally clicked ahead, so we have to skip this. We can't read any of this. We're ignoring it. La 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 la. Nope. We can't even read this. No. We can't read it. La 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 la. We're just ignoring all of this. I'm not looking. I refuse. Absolutely refuse. La la. We won't look. Alright, we should be just about ready to go back through. Okay. Let's try this one more time, shall we? It all began at the scene when I saw the waxwork and the note tucked inside its jacket. Alright, we'll press you. From what you described before, it sounds like it was anonymous. Do you have any idea who was behind it? There are very few people in the know about what really happened 10 years ago to start with. I mean, that's probably true. But anyway, I'd never heard of this engineer, so no, I had no idea. Yet despite not knowing who was behind the plan, you went along with it? I had no choice. Protecting the professor's secret was my only concern. But the horse has bolted now, and the stable door will never shut again. Yeah, I think Van Zieks is really curious about it. Scotland Yard's reputation will be immeasurably damaged as a result of all this. Yes, thank you, Lord Van Zieks. I'm well aware of that. So, as I understand it, what you found in the birdcage was the waxwork model. Where then was the victim's body? Exactly. The actual body of the victim, as indicated in the note's instructions, was beneath the experimentation stage.
Hold it!
So you knew about the special construction of the stage used to carry out the trick then? It was quite obvious what happened when the victim and with the victim and the waxwork. And you switched the two over, didn't you? In other words, you recorded the victim's body as having been discovered in the Crystal Tower, and the waxwork, I wrapped it and sent it by carriage to the specified address at the specified time. And why were you given such directions? Presumably, so it could be recovered by Drebber and returned to Madame Tuspel's. I see. And then you put the birdcage back on the experimentation stage? Yes, although someone obviously made a mistake about which cage should go where. I thought I'd made it perfectly clear to the team, but still. I suppose you were focused on the victim's body, that being a more important detail. I mean, cover-ups are tricky, I guess. The body had to be arranged in certain ways to implicate the defendant, which was my job.
Hold it!
When you say arranged, I presume you mean with this, the screwdriver, Andrew, the screwdriver. Yes, the instructions in the engineer's note said something along the lines of fabricate some evidence to make it clear that Harebrain alone could have killed Asmund. So, you mean that was your doing? I fetched Harebrain's ridiculous screwdriver from the stage and took it with me, alone, to the abyss under the stage, where the birdcage had fallen. Alone, Doctor? Uh-oh. I didn't feel it would be appropriate to involve anybody else in that particular part of the deception. Oh boy, I wonder if she actually killed him. Like, maybe he didn't really die and she stabbed him. There was a void under the stage where I found the birdcage lying in the dirt. I approached it, leaned down, and slowly opened it up. Then I took the screwdriver in both hands and plunged it into the man's chest. Oh man. And then you noted that in your fake autopsy report as a fictitious cause of death. Exactly. So, the actual cause of death was what? The trauma resulting from the 30-foot drop. My word. The cover-up, man. What is it, Mr. Sato? Something about Dr. Sithe's last statement is playing on my mind, that's all. Yes, mine too. Dr. Sithe? There's really no need to shout. I can hear you perfectly well. The defense calls for you to add what you just said to your formal testimony. Oh, which part? What I want her to supplement her testimony with is the real cause of death and what she did to the victim. The real cause of death. Let me look at our court record. Do we have anything that we can refute that with, I wonder? We have this image. That doesn't help us. Killer's autopsy report. Death by hanging. Maybe? That was for the professor, but I think that's why... Wasn't his neck broken? Like, let me look at the original autopsy report, right? Let me look at this. Time of death. Hemorrhage of a wound to the chest that pierced the heart, inflicted by a sharp instrument. Additional observations. A broken vertebra, most likely resulting from impact after a sudden fall from considerable height. Not sure. I mean, do we have anything about this that is of any... I don't know. Let's try. I think what we need to do is try the real cause of death. Because I really don't know. Both of them are pretty weird. The real cause of death being the fall of 30 feet. That part. Fine, if that's what you want. Just stop yelling, please. The prosecution concurs. I'm not sure if that's the right cause or not. Very well, you will supplement your testimony now, witness. If you wish, my lord. I'm really not sure. The actual cause of death was the neck trauma Asmund suffered from the 30-foot fall. But is that true? Actually, you know what? Was it? Let me look at her original... I want to look at her original statement. Let's look at this again. Something's just not sitting right. Hemorrhage of a wound to the chest that pierced the heart. If he was already dead, would he have really hemorrhaged? You know what? I think that might be it. Okay, we need to press this again and get her to amend her statement to instead show, Or was it? You know what? Let's continue looking at our evidence. Let's look at the death photograph. That has been bothering me this whole time. Like, what is this, right? I always thought it was a piece of glass. Like, maybe he had gotten glass, right? Into his wound. But I've noticed these little bits here from the beginning. I don't think that was done with a screwdriver. Let's press it again. Hold it! Because something's just not right here. You're quite sure of that. It was a result of a broken neck. Yes, as a professional, that was more than apparent. You'd never know just by looking at the photograph of the victim, though, would you? No, that's very true. Obviously not. Which is precisely why coroners are needed to determine the actual facts, except for when they twist the facts around, ma'am. Yes, assuming they can be trusted. There's no point calling her assessment into question without evidence. Let's get back to the testimony. Oh, very well. I enlisted the help of the entire forensic investigation team to dress the scene appropriately. Let's press that one. The entire team in perverting the course of justice. She can't say anything. My team consists of the very best investigators there are. I demand loyalty from all members. We operate on a code of chivalry of sorts. I don't think chivalry, yeah. You aid and abet a murderer, commit perjury, and dare to talk of chivalry? Exactly. Like, what even? It was a matter of priorities. What? Nothing was more important than protecting the secret of the professor. My team did what was necessary without losing sight of the primary goal. I consider their conduct exemplary. What even? Don't concede the point, Mr. Naruto. You mustn't let her win. I need a lawyer. I'll take that silence as tacit acceptance. Now, can we move on? The truth about the execution 10 years ago is a state secret at the highest level. I had to protect it. But at what cost? Faith in Scotland Yard is going to suffer a terrible blow as a result of this. And your precious secret is out now anyway. I mean, that's true. Yes, as you say. And I take full responsibility. Blow me down, Dr. Sithe! Surely there was some other way you could have protected the secret? No, there really wasn't. I've done my utmost, believe me. In many ways, I respect your determination. Oh, I nearly froze under that cold stare as she said that. I do believe she was being genuine, though, Mr. Naruto. I'm not so sure about that. So that's her story. She's admitted everything and revealed her full involvement in the crime. I do wonder if there could really be much more to it. Well, I don't know, but I just have a feeling. Do you, Mr. Naruto? The truth is, I find it strange too. How those two are reacting to this in completely opposite ways, I mean. Yeah, he seems like upset and she seems smug, like she has the upper hand. Something's not right here. Yes, exactly. Like, what is going on? For some reason, I feel sure they're still trying to hide something. Okay, so let's get her to amend her statement back the other way, because we didn't get any new information from the real cause of death. Let's see if we can get something about what she did to the victim. All right, so it was which one? I think it was the next statement. All right, so the body had to be arranged, right? I think it was this one. Let's press this again. What you did with this. Yes, the screwdriver. Merely carrying out the engineer's instructions, right? Alright, so let's see. Where she went alone. Alright. And then it's gonna go over it again. I assume. And lean down over the birdcage. Opened it up. There's... Oh! There's... 2 tips. Right? Real cause of death being the fall. I'm sure there's something here in this testimony. Alright. You know, if you think it would be appropriate, I'm sure you could ask Dr. Sithe to change the supplementary testimony she gave before. What should I ask her to... Okay. What should we ask her to do with the statement she added? Let's have her change it. Dr. Sithe, what you said before about what you did to the victim's body, I believe that may be significant. So could you change your supplementary statement to explain that instead? Very well. Okay, so now we've had her change her statement. I stood over the victim's corpse where it lay in the toppled cage and plunged the screwdriver into the chest. Okay, so, but look at this photo. If that's true, why are there these 2 tips in here, right? So the screwdriver very clearly only has one little tip. I think we even examined this, right? We can look at it again. This is blood, Mr. Asmon's, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. Okay, so nothing about that, but this is a screwdriver. Even if the tip is broke off, it's a single tip, right? However, on the photo, there's two whatevers. Like, as I was saying before, I always thought they were like glass shards or something, but why are they there? If she stabbed it into his chest, why are they here? We're gonna try and present this.
Objection.
Because something doesn't add up here. I've got a nasty feeling. Like, that this inconsistency points to an extremely uncomfortable truth. What on earth is the matter, Counsel? Have you lost your tongue? I apologize, my lord. Dr. Sithe, in that last statement of yours, there's just one point that seems to defy explanation. Out with it, my learned friend. There's an obvious inconsistency between your description and this photograph, which shows the victim in the birdcage following the events that led to his death.
Objection!
The court has already examined that photograph in depth. There's nothing new we can learn from it. But is there? Yes, we have already considered it, that's true. But we now know the facts to be different. What do you mean? I believe we should let the defense explain. Exactly. Where in this photograph would we see the alleged inconsistency with the witness's statement? So, I feel like it's gotta be here, right? There's just something weird here. Look closely at the bloodstain on the victim's chest. It clearly extends in a downwards direction toward the man's feet. Oh, that's true. If he was laying down, it would have just pulled out like this. He had to have been upright, right? And why is that significant, Counsel? If the victim were stabbed moments before the kinesis machine was set in motion, that's entirely expected. Of course. No, that's not what really happened. Exactly, my lord. Dr. Sithe made it very clear in her testimony just now that the point at which she stole Professor Harebrain's screwdriver and stabbed the victim was after his supposed death. Was after the grand deception was set in motion, when the birdcage had fallen below the stage out of sight. From the shape of it, it's clear that the birdcage would have fallen on its side after the 30-foot drop. And if the victim had really been stabbed whilst inside the birdcage in that position, the blood from the wound would have spread out equally in all directions. For it to have formed the longitudinal appearance we see in this picture is inconceivable. Given that the victim's blood seeped vertically downwards from the wound, it must be the case that when you stabbed Mr. Asmon, he was standing up. In short, Dr. Sithe, your latest testimony was a total fabrication. Oh man, what now? What now? I knew it. I was right. Now I've identified that contradiction. There's only one way to explain the facts. We've all been under a great misapprehension here. What? What sort of misapprehension? Oh boy. Dr. Sithe? You claim you were coerced into helping Mr. Drebber as a result of the note he left in the waxwork. You claim that you made changes to the scene of the crime to implicate the defendant. and you claim that you authored a fake autopsy report to cover your tracks. But one of those claims is an out-and-out lie, because the question of what the bloodstain really tells us has only one possible answer. If that is the case, what is it, man? Counsel, you've clearly stuck upon a revelation. Now, tell the court what it is. Which part of Dr. Sithe's story is shown to be a lie by the contradiction in her testimony? So how she was coerced, the stabbing of the victim, or the autopsy report? Obviously the stabbing of the victim is incorrect, right? Unless it means that he wasn't stabbed at all. But let's try this one first. I'm starting to think both of these are true. Like, she wasn't coerced, and the stabbing of the victim is wrong. But we have evidence about this, because the way she described it, he was lying down. And we just explained that. So I don't know. I feel, yeah, I think the autopsy report is correct that he died from the chest wound, right? Let's try this. This might be wrong. The answer is very simple if you consider the sequence of events. If, when the victim was stabbed, the blood from the wound seeped downwards as it did, we can be sure that the victim must have been either sitting or standing upright at the time. But as you rightly pointed out, the birdcage would have fallen on its side when it fell beneath the stage. Yes, it would, which tells us that the victim must have been in that position of his own accord.
Objection!
That's impossible. The man was dead, remember? No, that is the misapprehension. Oh man, everyone's shocked. When the birdcage fell from the stage into the void below, it must have hit the ground with considerable force. But it didn't kill him. Oh man. But Mr. Asmund didn't die in the fall. He probably lost consciousness for a while, but when he came round, he got to his feet to climb out of the cage. Just as Dr. Sithe appeared. Oh man. If the victim was in fact alive at that point in time, it changes everything. Yes, it does, because then it means she's the murderer. Oh man. Mr. Odie Asmund's killer wasn't the defendant, Professor Albert Harebrain. Nor was it the mastermind behind the stage trickery, Mr. Enoch Drebber. It was you, Dr. Courtney Sithe. Grr. Oh, she's been called out, man. Order! 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 Can this possibly be true? Have you been taking me for a fool? It was you, was it? You killed him? She looks away. You hoped that by admitting to being an accomplice in Mr. Drebber's scheme, the trial would end. Before, you were accused of a far worse crime. Cold-blooded murder. Oh, do shut up. You're so desperate now. You're making all this up. As if I would do something like this. I assure you, the defense is not desperate, Doctor. Mr. Naruhodo has established the facts using evidence and logic alone. Ha! Logic, don't make me laugh. Sadly, your logic has a gaping hole in it. What? What do you mean? Tisk, I'd have thought it was obvious. A motive, boy. You're lacking a motive. What possible reason would I have to kill Mr. Asmund? I mean, didn't she say it herself? Protecting the professor was the most important thing ever? Asmund was involved in any number of criminal activities, from coercion to theft to murder. But there is no known connection to Dr. Sithe there. I mean, we have his signature linking him to the professor. I'm rather relieved to say it does seem somewhat far-fetched. True, there's no obvious motive, but there's still something in the back of my mind. I feel sure I've seen something somewhere that hints at why the coroner might have done this. Yes, I might have tampered with the crime scene and concocted a fake report, but murdering someone for no reason is a very different story. I mean, I feel like we've already done this evidence before. No, when you question what possible reason you could have for wanting to kill Mr. Asmund, something did come to mind. What? What is it, Counsel? Enlighten the court at once. Oh boy. Yes, we saw it yesterday, didn't we? Something that seemed strange, but we had no reason to suspect it at the time. There's a particular object that explains why Dr. Sithe would have wanted to kill Mr. Asmund. Let's look in the court record. What do we have? So we have the screwdriver. Metal screwdriver that was found poking through the grill in the base of what remains of the kinesis machine. Has a very distinctive handle. And then we have the waxwork head, the head of the Professor Waxwork that was stolen from the Madame Tuspel's exhibit. Is there something about this? We've already examined it. There was nothing really significant about it, right? What else is there? What is this scalpels it's talking about? I don't even have that in my evidence. Scalpels? However, maybe that's what that is. Oh, wait. It was the report on her desk when we went to her office. She was smuggling them or something, right? She had like so many requested scalpels. It's a scalpel, or rather scalpels. Did you say scalpels? When she burst in on us and kicked us out of her office. It would appear the word has struck a chord, Doctor. Ew. Come on, out with it. It was yesterday when we visited your laboratory. Right, it was in this book. Look at this big, thick book here. Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think. And they had spent a ton on scalpels. What is it? It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but, well, one entry seems rather strange. Really? In what way? They're buying 500 scalpels every month. Yeah, they were buying like a ton. Why? What was the deal with that? And was he blackmailing them? 500 scalpels a month? At first, I wondered what on earth you could be using that many scalpels for. But actually, I realize now it's not the scalpels themselves that are significant. It's the money for them, disappearing every month from the department's accounts. Oh, is she smuggling money? And he found out? Asmund's criminal organization relied heavily on extortion for its funding. Oh, maybe he was blackmailing her about the professor incident. Tracing the money from the forensic investigation team's account to find out where it was going. It would be extremely straightforward. Ugh. She's like sweating. 10 years ago, when Mr. Asmund was still a journalist and wrote this article about Mr. Drebber, he may well have stumbled upon information as he was researching the story. Information relating to Dr. Sithe's darkest secret that he would use to rack money from her for the next decade. Her darkest secret? Good Lord, you mean... I don't know what happened on the night of that execution 10 years ago, but clearly the opportunity to rid yourself of that menace was too tempting to pass up. So in the end, you weren't coerced at all, were you? You did it entirely of your own free will. You stabbed Mr. Asmund in the heart with all your might. To silence the blackmailer who knew your dark secret forever. So maybe those two little marks we saw in the picture was just part of his shirt then. I thought it was something sticking out of the wound. You'll never understand, none of you. What we've had to keep covered up all these long years. I mean, do tell. I'm dying to know. What exactly was this big secret? Are you going to tell? As very little of the machine remains after it was ripped apart by the bomb, the truth of this case can never be properly established unless you speak out. And if you decide not to, it's very possible that Courtney Sithe will escape punishment for her crimes. Please, sir, own up to what you've done and tell the court the truth about what happened. I mean, you saw she stabbed you in the back. She was willing to throw you under the bus for murder. 10 years ago, you told the truth, and you were robbed of a bright and successful future as a result. I can certainly understand your bitterness and your consternation now. However, this is surely the chance you've been waiting for, to sever the hold that fate had over you all these years. Exactly. I mean, you seem to sense the seriousness of this. Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis? I mean, really. It's the addle-brained mock scientists that are the worst, you know. They don't recognize the fact that they don't have talent. They can't even get that right. And so they end up chasing impossible dreams, having unbridled faith in their abilities. They go on and on about their wonderful hypotheses, their stupid eyes shining like a little child's. Now, okay, so he has a personal dislike for Hairbrain because he doesn't see him as a real scientist. They make me sick. I can't abide their foolishness. Careful, Mr. Jubber. I was particularly pleased with the kinesis machine. It made for quite a show, didn't it? I mean, it did. So you admit it? You admit that it was nothing more than a sham made for the purpose of killing the victim? Yes, I admit it. I did it all in the name of revenge. Revenge for the future that Mr. Asmund's article had deprived you of 10 years earlier. But the revenge you sought didn't stop at Asmund, did it? Which is where that very particular waxwork comes in. Yes, I see. Oh, it makes sense. The condemned convict that you saw rising from the grave in Lowgate Cemetery 10 years ago. If your account of those events was all true, then obviously Scotland Yard couldn't afford to acknowledge what had happened. Even if it meant discrediting a bright young man and crushing any future career he might have had. So your plan required that you abduct that particular waxwork model in order to exact your revenge on Scotland Yard as well, or on Dr. Sithe to be precise. It's like all the stars aligned for him. Everything was so perfect. It was a year ago. By some extraordinary twist of fate, Asmund turned up at my workshop. He didn't remember who I was, of course. He just wanted to employ my services as an engineer. And he happened to have a paper with him. An article on the front page caught my eye about the coroner who'd handled that bogus autopsy being appointed head of a new forensic team. When I learnt that news, my cognitive processes started to devise the plan. What a horrid tale! He robbed me of my future, so I wanted to use the man's own wiles against him for revenge, and have that rotten Scotland Yard eating out of my hand at the same time. I wanted them all to suffer the same humiliation I had to suffer. It's all sinking in. Where did Dr. Sithe disappear to? She's just like, I'm just gonna exit stage left. Your actions against those who ruined your future were justified as revenge, at least to yourself. Certainly, no one has the right to destroy another's prospects, especially for purely selfish gain. And yet, in carrying out your plan, you did exactly that to someone else, didn't you? Did I? Professor Harebrain's only crime was passion for his hypothesis, but you had no compunction about sacrificing his future to effect your revenge. You knew that he would be forever branded a failure and a fraud. Perhaps life treated you unfairly 10 years ago, and others' misconduct left your life in tatters. But remember this. Your own actions resulted in exactly the same thing for another perfectly innocent young man. I mean, granted, it's one he said by his own mouth that he disliked. So, there's that. Yes, everything has come out. It's, wow. I don't even think the jury needs to vote. It's just like so obvious. But what's going to happen now? Lord Van Zeek's what of Dr. Sithe? An immediate warrant for her arrest has been granted, and she's been remanded in custody, my lord. I presume she will face trial in the coming days, along with Mr. Drebber. A most regrettable situation indeed. She's made great contributions to her profession over the years. It's really a hard truth to swallow. However, that is a topic for some future occasion. For now, Professor Harebrain. Oh, yes? It seems there was a great deal more to your experiment than you realized. However, I think we can assume now that all the sordid details have been brought to light. This has been a very long and profound trial, but I'm pleased to say you are absolved of all guilt. Oh boy, this whole experience has taught me a great but painful lesson. I've been, this dedicated scientist, this devotee of natural philosophy. I've been selfish and self-centered, and above all, a fool. Professor? I've spent my life thinking of nothing but my research, misguidedly believing that I could do whatever I set my mind to, despite my lack of talent. And the worst of it is, in the process, I've caused others pain and misery. Others who are far, far greater people than I. No, Professor, that's not true. Well, don't tar yourself with the same brush as Drebber. What happened was his doing, and his alone. This outcome is his fate, not yours. You're not to blame in any way. Lord Van Zeek's. And the derision with which he referred to you earlier, calling you a fool, talentless even. The man has no idea. But you believe in yourself and work your fingers to the bone to realize your dreams. That's laudable, not laughable. No one has the right to deride another for such choices. Oh, I mean, they were colleagues in school, so thank you, Barack. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, yes, my lord, it is this court's expectation that you find the defendant not guilty of the charge of which he stands accused. I presume there are no objections. None for me, my lord. Certainly not. This trial has really made me think, but this is the right decision. It's all been proven methodically and rigorously. I have no misgivings whatsoever. What's that? It's done, is he? It's all over? I don't know what's become of the yard these days. I don't recognize the place. Very well. In that case, I hereby pronounce the defendant not guilty. Awesome. Awesome. Oh boy, we knew it would happen though. Court is adjourned. Alright, it's over. Is it though? That was some trial, indeed it was. It was amazing, but we got our client off in the end. He was declared innocent. 24th October, 4:33 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Professor, what a splendid outcome, isn't it? Oh, it is, it is. Congratulations, Professor Harebrain. He looks like Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Sato. I am truly beside myself with gratitude. How can I ever thank you enough? I'm just glad it's all been cleared up. That you realize you were just caught up in a bad situation. Right now, you know, if I had that research grant money, I'd give the whole lot to you, every penny. Well, that's very kind, but I'm just a student, so... We don't need any financial reward. Your acquittal is more than enough. Oh dear. Oh, what can I do? How about this as a memento? The paper about my hypothesis is inside. Well, just as a memento then. Thank you. I've been wondering, Professor, what are you going to do now? Oh my, yes. What am I going to do now? My hypothesis and my great machine lie in ruins. But still, it's been too long since I was last in London, so perhaps I'll enjoy some sightseeing. I must explore the great exhibition whilst I'm here too, and see if new inspiration hits me. Oh yes, that's a wonderful idea. I can't allow that. I assume that's going to be, yeah, Van Zeeks. Lord Van Zeeks, what are you doing in here? Barrack. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Albert. Well, if I'm honest, it was terrifying. You were like a great demon behind your bench there, snarling down on your prey. You're one of the few true friends I have. I couldn't leave it to anybody else to handle the prosecution or the defense. Sorry? Or the defense? Did I just hear that right? I always knew that you had my best interests at heart. Don't worry. How about you show me around while I'm here in town? It's been a long time since we left university. We have a lot to catch up on. Will he do that? Listen, Albert. In a few days, your acquittal will be made official. When that happens, you must head straight to Dover. I'll accompany you. What? From there, you'll cross the channel and make your way back to Germany. I've already purchased the tickets. But no, hold on a minute, Barak. What about the great exhibition? This is the chance of a lifetime for me. I want to look around. No sightseeing, Albert. Give up on the idea. Oh, what's going on here? Sometimes it's hard to see any warmth in those eyes, Barak. Lord Van Zeeks? What's all this about? Unnecessary precaution. Yes, I think I understand. You do? So we're the only ones in the dark here? Well, Iris told me that when you met Lord Van Zeeks at his office some days ago, he asked you how Mr. Natsumi was doing. Yes, that's right. I remember being surprised at the time and thinking it was nice of him to ask. The point is, Mr. Natsumi is still alive and well. Even though it's been more than 6 months now since he stood trial with the Reaper as the prosecutor. Oh, he's trying to keep his friend alive. Okay. Ah, you mean the Reaper's influence doesn't stretch overseas? Those in the Reaper's sights meet their end days, or sometimes months after their acquittal. That's been the pattern up to now. But of course, we knew that Mr. Natsumi and Gina were completely innocent. True. And perhaps that governs the Reaper's actions. The truly innocent are spared. But I don't want to take any chances with a close personal friend. But Barak! Like the mustache Nipponese, this man should leave the country without delay. That's why I'm packing him off to Germany at once. Right. Does your friend-shaped package get any say in it? Goodness, was this your intention all along then, Lord Van Zeeks? I feel like he's got some dark secrets in his heart. Like, not that he committed, but that he's aware of, maybe. In court, where people think of him as the Reaper, this man seems absolutely merciless, and yet, sometimes I feel as though I don't understand him at all. Like, I think he's got some kind of deep pain. Like, it's got to be related to his brother, right? And he's trying to keep people safe in the way he can. It's time to go, Albert. Back to the prison for the time being. Yes, all right. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you so much for everything. Not at all, Professor. It was a pleasure getting to know you. Best wishes, Professor Harebrained. Well, once this dust is settled, you must come and visit me in Germany. Anyway, goodbye for now. Oh boy. I mean, it's almost like he cares. Now, my Nipponese friend... Oh, yes? I thought you'd gone too. We have matters to discuss. Can you spare me some time? You want to talk with me? I'll be waiting in the courtroom in 10 minutes. Okay. Well, that was strange, just a little bit. For some reason, I didn't get that sense of impending doom as he walked away this time. What even is the matter? The Enigma, Barak Van Zeeks. What does he want to discuss, I wonder? The answer awaits in the courtroom, I suppose. Here goes, then. Okay, so what's this all about? I'm super curious. What is he going to tell us? 24th of October, 4:58 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Okay. I love how we're just standing behind our little stands. So are you satisfied? You saved a guileless scientist from a great injustice. Yes, I think so. I'm relieved, at least, that the man's innocence could be proven. Anyway, I imagine you've been wondering where my animosity towards you Nipponese comes from. Yes, actually we did. Well, at first I thought you just didn't like me. I imagined you saw me as a pretentious child from an unimportant land who had no business being here. But now I think differently. He's like, well, you weren't wrong. You clearly know our ways, so I would guess that some specific incident led to your thorough dislike of my race. Will you tell me what happened, please? The professor. Oh. I thought I'd never hear that name in this courtroom again, to be honest. He took your brother's life. Clint. My brother was Clint Van Zieks. 16 years ago, when I was still just in my teens, he was already the director of prosecutions and a key member of the judiciary. I looked up to him. He was everything I aspired to be. He was involved in the establishment of justice systems in foreign countries as well. There were exchange programs between Britain and other nations then too, to share knowledge and ideas. As part of one of those programs, 3 judicial students came to Britain from your homeland, the Empire of Japan. Oh. If it was 16 years ago, then one of them could have been my father. Of course, I remember Dr. Mikotoba well. I had no idea. I was a minor at the time, training at the prosecutor's office. One day, Clint introduced me to the 3 visiting Nipponese. So you've actually met my father? He and his colleagues were polite and amicable. They were adept at their work and exacting in their standards. It was my first encounter with the Nipponese spirit, and it made a very great impression upon me. It was 6 years later. That's when it happened. The investigation was going nowhere. There were no suspects even. Just an ever-growing list of victims. And in the end, my brother became one of them. The last, in fact, before the case was finally resolved. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zieks, truly. Does that mean the professor was one of those 3 visiting students? Clint was always ready to put his life on the line for justice anyway. So he wouldn't have wanted it any other way. He lost his life to the killer, but it was his victory in the end. For me personally, though, it was a great loss. I found myself in a very dark place indeed. When I finally found out the killer's identity, the reason why no one had been able to catch the man soon ceased to be such a mystery. He'd been hiding in plain sight all the time. In plain sight? Are you aware of political events 10 years ago? It was a period of extremely sensitive diplomacy between the British and Japanese empires. A new treaty was being forged, I think. Correct. The Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation was being concluded. The leaders of both countries were deep in extensive political discussions. Which is why this particular killer's appearance in court was conducted as a closed trial. If the British public had known the identity of the killer, not only would the treaty have been in jeopardy, but our 2 nations could very well have ended up at war. It was one of the 3 students. What? A war between Britain and Japan? But that would mean... Oh my! You mean to say the professor was... Oh boy.
When the trial reached its conclusion earlier, I thought to myself, yes, it's time.
Oh boy.
Time for you to come face to face with this hideous, monster. I borrowed the key for the mask from the proprietress of the Waxwork Museum.
Oh boy.
So see for yourselves now. Confirm it with your own eyes. The truth that's been hidden this past decade.
Oh boy. What is the truth? I knew it.
That's the professor?
Yes, that's him.
Until now, the thought never even crossed my mind. That the mass murderer, whose crimes shook Britain as never before, was Japanese.
Oh
Wait.
man.
Wait a minute. That face. I feel as though I've seen it somewhere. It's strangely familiar.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hello? What is going on here? Oh man. It's his father! Oh no, it's Kazuma's father!
What? Father?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh man.
Kazuma!
We knew it! We knew it, man! Oh
My
man.
best friend, Kazuma Asogi. After a whole year, finally his memories returned.
Oh man.
As he stood there before me,
Oh man.
Ryunosuke.
Oh man.
Hello again,
I have no words.
my friend.
Kazuma-sama!
Judicial Assistant Mikotoba.
So what happened?
It's been a very long road.
Yes.
Thank you for guiding my friend here when I could not.
It was an honor.
I knew you wouldn't die that easily,
Mm-hmm.
Kazuma.
Oh
I
man.
owe you thanks too. For taking good care of that in my absence.
Oh,
He gives the sword up now.
Karuma, the great blade of the Asogi clan, passed down through the generations. When we left Japan, this sword was at my friend's side. A Japanese man's katana is his soul, and he couldn't be parted from it.
Oh man.
But then, when the incident happened, it was Susato-san's wish that I inherit the sword,
Right?
and I've kept it with me ever since, along with my memories of the friendship we shared.
What's gonna happen now?
With this by my side, I always felt that you were watching over me somehow.
Is he gonna tie the band around and be back to normal? But his dad.
I've
His
made it
dad was the
at
professor.
last. Father.
Are you saying... Surely not. You mean, you knew all this time? I'm looking at it, but I still can't believe it. This mass murderer is Kazuma's father.
Oh, man. What's he going to do? Is he going to cut off his head again? Oh, boy.
Kazuma-sama.
Ryunosuke, we have much to talk about, but now is not the time. I'll be
Wow.
seeing you.
Oh, he's got to be off. He has a lot to process, I guess. Oh, man. That was... Everyone's just like,
That's
what?
all Kazuma said.
And where did
Before he
Van
turned
Zeeks
and
go?
left us there in
He's
the
just
courtroom.
disappeared. So he's the living after-image of the man who took my brother's life, is he? Yes, Kazuma Shogi, my best friend. 3 months ago, when Lord Strongheart introduced us, I had an inkling there was something there, some connection. Why did Lord Strongheart do that? Why did he make Kazuma Lord Van Zeek's apprentice? And when he was suffering amnesia, too. The man was apprehended, even executed. But his legacy just won't die. That's the sad truth. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you for meeting with me as I asked. Always polite? Even in his anger? Man, this whole thing, this is one of those cases where it paints Van Zeeks in a new light. Like, you want to hate him, but then you're like, but do I? 10 years ago, my grandmother took me to the railway station. We were there to meet my father from the train. For me, it was the first time I'd ever seen him. Poor Susada-san. All this is tied up with painful memories for her, too. She's never talked about this with me before, though. It took time to adjust to having father around, but just when I was starting to get used to it, he called me into his study one day. He told me that a great friend of his had passed away in London, and that the friend had left behind a son. A boy, 7 years my senior. Father told me the boy had made a promise to his late father, so he was studying to become a defense lawyer. I wanted to help, so I studied to become a qualified judicial assistant. As I'm sure you've worked out, that young man's name was Kazuma Ashogi. So you see, that's how he and I met. I wonder why he made a promise to his dad to be a defense lawyer.
My great friend had returned, only to disappear again all too soon. But in that fleeting encounter, something stirred. Something that had been dormant for a long time. As if great wheels had been set in motion. I could almost hear them creaking into life. In some ways, it was the end of a chapter. But in many, it was the start of a new one.
Exactly. Oh, man. That's wild. Okay, we did it, guys. That was crazy. All right, let's save it. That was definitely wild. Save it. All right, let's go back to the title. What is our next one? Wait, hold on. What is our next one called? The Twisted Karma and His Last Bow or Bow. I'm not sure. Not sure which one it is. It was indeed a most bizarre incident born of a curious advertisement and a commonplace killing at the edge of town. Huh. That's going to be interesting. All right. Well, so that concludes the third case that we were working on here. That concludes the case of the Clouded Kokoromu. Is that what it was called? Let me see. What was the name of that one? That was called The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Okay. So, that is the finale of the case of the Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. So, I don't even know what to think of this. That was definitely wild. I am going to have to process my thoughts about that one. Kazuma is back, but is he? He regained his memories, but his father was the professor, and his father killed Van Zeke's brother. And there's just all of these intertwined lives that are just meeting up at this nexus of law and order. It's wild. It's crazy. What are we going to find out in the next case now? I don't even know, but it is definitely going to be exciting. So if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/Liara27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games we're playing each day, I post them on x.com/Liara27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye. All right. Well, that is going to be it for today, guys. I hope you had fun with that. That was definitely a flurry of energy there. Like, man, that was just crazy. So anyways, we will be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. We're going to be playing some more TCG Card Shop Simulator, so that's going to be fun. And then afterwards, we are going to be hopefully nearing the end of Riven. So I actually did figure out what the deal was with the puzzle we were stuck on, and you're gonna be face palming with me when we see it tomorrow. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. Now let's see who we can raid today. I'm looking to see who's on and what all we're playing. Anything interesting? Everyone always plays like the same kinds of games, it seems. What can we do? I thought I saw someone for a second there. Let's look. Who all do we have on? Looking to see who a good person to raid would be. Maybe there's not very many people playing this game right now, so well, we'll just raid the first person on our list then. That's Crystal Critics playing Ochanbara Origin. I don't know what game that is, but we'll go give them a raid. We'll go say hi, and we'll be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central. So thank you everybody for hanging out. I appreciate you. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to tomorrow. So until then, bye.